Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. As always, I'll be talking to an author whose book I have read and enjoyed, and we'll be talking about that book in particular. And we will also be talking about my latest book, which they have read, and it's going to be a really fun session. Hello Satyam, thank you for joining. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. I am waiting for my guest. Hello Rucha, thank you for joining. I'm waiting for my guest to come to the live so I can add her and we can begin today's episode. Please stay tuned. It's going to be a really interesting episode today because I have read a non-fiction book written by her, and I don't generally read much of non-fiction, but this is one book that I have really enjoyed reading, and I'm sure you are also going to enjoy listening to our conversation. It's going to be a really, a session full of pearls of wisdom. She's going to share with us her experiences of writing the book and, what went into the research. It's a self help motivational book that she has written, and I'm really excited about it. Let me just check whether she has joined us. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask while we wait for her to join us and begin today's episode. She is not here yet. Let me just check what is wrong. Yes, we have her. Hello, Amritha. I'm just sending you an invitation now. Please accept it. Let me also invite a few more people to join the live. Hello, Shilpa. Hello, how are you? I think you need to turn the camera because we are not able to see you.
I turn.
Yes, hello, Amrita ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are
So
you?
nice to see you. I am also good.
Pleasure, pleasure.
Okay, so I was just telling the viewers that I have read your book, and I don't generally read much of non-fiction, but yours was one book that I found really interesting and captivating. So, if you could just quickly tell us about the book, show us the book that we are talking about.
Yeah, this is a book called Secret Gift from the Perfect Storm. And, it's the flower is the tool, and we have guides in life. So that's
Yes.
the book. And it's to put it in a small gist, it's uh, a journey of the protagonist, which is majorly a journey from my life. I'm
Okay.
a professional coach, a therapist, a healer. I'm also a trainer. So this book was due long back, but a series of events in life made me realize that it's important to bring out the knowledge that I have in emotional healing,
Hmm.
uh, and let people know that whatever is inside feels like shit, but trust me, it's got a beautiful gift inside. And we should not be ignoring it and shunning it or thinking it's bad, that I'm bad. No, look the message and you get your gift. So, and in case you're not able to, asking for help is an awesome way to work that and get the gift. So that's the final message to this book and the journey of the protagonist, the ups and downs, and how she handles the situations.
Yes, since you have already spoken about the book and told us what it is all about, could you read out a few passages also?
Okay, so I'll read. I was thinking what to read because quite a bit of chapters are connected to each other. So if I read it in silo, people don't understand. So
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. So let me just start with an episode in Anita's life.
Yes.
In fact, so just this little concept there. In fact, psychologists will admit that not just cancer patients, but their relatives too need psychological counseling due to the trauma they experience while caring for and seeing the suffering of their loved ones. Uh, so for his healing process, Anand and cure from cancer, for Anand's cure from cancer, Anita knew that Anand needed emotional support. She wanted him surrounded by people he would otherwise have loved to be with, sounds of laughter around, and reeling the positive phases of life is very helpful. Uh, but then you see what Anita had learned through her counseling and later through her various psychological and spiritual sessions is that the stuck energy of Anand had blocked the flow within.
Hmm.
So when we emotionally get so stuck, we don't realize, we think we are not letting it out, so I'm okay. But it rots inside and there's no flow of energy.
Hmm.
Life fails to flow through us if we no longer transmit life. And as the various concepts and energy sciences explain, our beliefs affect our body's functioning too. So despite these, what was remarkable about his sheer dogged willpower to get through cancer and conquer it. He would read the healing books and affirmations that Anita gave and do the visualization activities.
Hmm.
Even after the second chemo and the initial dip in health due to the radiation, Anita saw him consciously working to bounce back. And I've also mentioned, shown some of the affirmations and stuff
Yes.
that he's done.
Yes.
And February 2019, the sun rose, the clouds cleared, there was lightness in the air, and the breeze was warm, and yet enough for the muscles to relax. Anand wouldn't stop smiling cheek to cheek. He was finally rid of the cancer. Anita's Putta, her dearest, sweetest twin brother, would live forever with her. He had been given a chance to undo the damage he did to himself. And he was already working on it, wasn't he? So, and then we will see some other turmoil coming in, whether that really worked or not.
Okay. Yeah, this was actually, I'm so glad you picked that particular chapter because not only do we look at Anita, but we also learn a lot about Anand in this particular phase. And, after this, when he starts suffering, we actually get to know how close the two of them are and what kind of suffering he went through and why it happened. So it was like so far it was only about Anita, and then we learn about Anand also, who also faced a similar grief like her, but how he dealt with it, and how it
True.
changed him.
Yeah, despite being twins, how people deal it differently. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for reading that out for us. And now, based on my reading of the book, I have a few questions for you because I'm curious to know how the book came about. Are you ready to answer those?
Sure.
I can
I'm
just open the
curious.
questions. Yeah, because I have a bunch of them, so I have to keep it open. Okay, so my first question to you is, since just a second, give me a few minutes. In the meanwhile, if we have any questions from the audience, you can also tell us about how difficult or what the process of this writing was because I was reading about you and I realized that it is not completely fictional. It is semi autobiographical also. You have included certain incidents from your own life into the book, and it would be great to know your perspective and how you came out of all of it, and managed to put it into a book also.
So there's a lot of so I'm a certified coach. I help emotional well-being of people. I am a trainer. I am a graduate of psychology. So a lot of these things I need to apply myself before I apply it on others. Right? So that's been a fortunate journey in the last 10 years for me. Uh, uh, and that has helped me journal stuff for myself and everything. So when I started this book, that journaling really helped me relive those moments and be able to do it in an easier, more smoother format rather than trying to remember, all that stuff. So that was there. And the journey that I've mentioned in the book also, as the reader will read, it's not been an easy journey. Yet there is a determination for ourselves.
Hmm.
If we honor ourselves, um, then we know what to do. So
Hmm.
listening to our inner core and not saying, "Oh, I'm scared of it," or there are people who say that, "Oh, if I listen to it, then I get giddy and I get this." So maybe you're not able to cope with it, but you can take somebody's help to be able to cope with it. But
Correct.
don't
Correct.
don't dissuade from not listening to it. So that's
Hmm.
something which I would like to that comes across through the book, that you be if you actually disown that, You're disowning yourself. Remember
Yeah.
that.
We have Yogita here, and she's saying that there is a network issue. We are आपकी वीडियो ठीक से नहीं दिख रही है.
Okay.
Hello, Anand. We have Anand who have joined us. Thank you for joining. Amrita, sorry, Yogita, if you can tell us, is the network issue resolved now? Are you able to see Amrita properly, or do we still have a lag in? Acha, both of us. There's an issue on my end also, Yogita. Is there a network issue from both our sides? If one of the viewers can let us know. Amrita has left. Let me invite her again. There seems to be some issue, the network issue from her side. I'm going to invite her and add her again so we can continue with today's episode. Thank you, Rupali, for joining. Hello, Samim. Thank you for joining. Good evening. I'm just waiting for today's guest to rejoin us so we can continue with the session. Hello, Natalie. Thank you for joining. Please stay connected. My guest will be joining us again in a few seconds. There was some technical issue from her side and we were not able to hear her properly. So we are waiting for her to rejoin and we can resume today's episode. I was just talking to her about her book, which I have read. It's a non-fiction self-help book and there is an issue in the network with your video as well. Oh, is it? Thank you for letting me know, Yogita. Let me see what can be done about that. Do we still have a net issue? Please let me know in the comments. Oh, hello, welcome back.
Hi.
I don't think there is an issue. We'll just wait for the viewers to let us know. Otherwise, we can continue with our question. You were answering one of my questions about how you went about writing such a semi-autobiographical book.
Yeah. So it was more of the inner work that I use on my clients to be able to stay with my feelings and whatever is
Hmm.
emerging. Some
Hmm.
journeys have been tough, some journeys have
Hmm.
been pressurable, but the pain, while writing it again, that we relive the pain. So how do you handle it? So all
Yes.
that stuff that I've applied, I have mentioned in the book. So that's how
Okay.
I handle it. And my own journaling last 10 years has helped me bring out the topics much easier than otherwise.
Hmm. Uh, Another question related to this, which I have, been wondering about for a long time, is that, it is widely believed that non-fiction books interest publishers and readers alike more than fictional books. So, did this help you in finding a publisher and later, in marketing and reaching out or the sales of the book also?
Well, to be honest, one of the very good feedback that I've got just today by somebody I look up to because of the knowledge and voracious reader and stuff. So such people, when they give positive feedback, it's like got to put it on your badge, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
true.
and he was like, this is both a non-fiction and a fiction.
Hmm.
It does not fall in just nonfiction. But anyways, I still did not find it easy to get publishers for the simple reason that new authors like me fall in the bracket of chicken or egg, catch 22. कि पहले author का reputation देख के book ले या do we go with the book. So that was a difficult thing in terms of selling as well, but in terms of publishers also do the same thing. So,
Hmm.
and then there are a lot of middle level publishers who are there, but they have the requirements and none of them fit me, honestly.
Hmm.
So I chose the hard way to do
Hmm.
it myself. Yeah, but then, yeah, and so around 50 or odd people have purchased it, consistent feedback, and I am enjoying it. So,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. Congratulations on that. So it doesn't matter, like, fiction or non-fiction, in the broader sense, it doesn't matter. Or what also matters is how new you are and whether you have written a good book or not.
Yeah. And it hit his, the feedback has hit the nail as in it served the intent of creating the book, and that is to everybody is saying the same thing, that we are able to actually experience and live our experiences when we are reading a book. That's how
Yes.
the great connect us. And if the experience happens, only then the person is able to,
Hmm.
work on themselves. And the
True.
storytelling mode has made it much easier for them to connect.
Yes, in fact, that is also one of the things that I really liked, and I have mentioned in my review also that when you're reading it, you have portrayed the protagonist Anita as if you are writing a fictional story, and it's not really like non-fiction where you are only talking about do this, do that. You are talking through a character, and that makes it very authentic and very believable. So my next
And
question to you is the book, as I mentioned, it's semi-autobiographical, and a lot of experiences and research must have gone into it. So tell us about the writing process. How long did it take? How much and what kind of research was involved? What points did you keep in mind while writing the book, and where did you draw the line? Because that's very difficult. I know. Where did you draw the line between personal and second-hand experiences of Anita?
yeah. So for me, it actually didn't work out the way I expected. What happened was the first one and two draft, when we actually bring everything out and streamline it, was actually the most easiest, because
Okay.
I had stuff with me and I was able to do it. But the later on 3 to 5 editing that I did took a lot of toll on me. But then the more surprising is, because this took me around 8 months, and the most surprising was it took me 5 to 6 months to publish it.
Hmm.
So that was the
Okay.
difficult part, because doing researching, finding out publications, and realizing I can't do, and I would like to do it myself, and then figuring out how to do it myself. And oh
Hmm.
yeah, it was a long process. So I lived my storm and I worked on it and didn't give up. So that happened.
Okay.
In terms of what was your other question? Uh,
So how did you draw the line?
yeah, yeah. So initially it was I just wrote it. Uh, what See, the way I looked at it, what I need to write is what is the reader wants from what's in it for the reader. Why would
Hmm.
the reader want to read it? How will
Yeah.
the reader connect to the story for themselves, their own story? That was
Yes.
very important, right? So for me, where I there are a lot of aspects where it is the protagonist, and which is directly linked to my own life journey. But then I also wanted readers to realize that that can be implemented for others in their lives too, whether it's
Hmm.
family, friends, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So a lot of my experiences with my clients, a lot with their permission, and their issues, and how the psychological processes helped them work on it and move forward.
Hmm.
So those are the areas where it's a second hand, or maybe Anita's people associated in her life,
Hmm.
using them as examples, because everybody's story, you know.
Yes.
And so that's where the slide, where the first hand and the second hand kind of shift.
Okay. That's interesting to know. And wow,
Yeah,
the way you are
yeah.
telling me, it has taken a lot of work from your end. So kudos on
Yes.
that.
No, actually, even I mean, I was reading your book too, Manali,
Hmm.
and it's interesting. I always thought the mindful musings are peaceful ponderings, the book title that you have. And I always felt, a collection of poems, maybe good collection of musings. Why would people want to read?
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I was reading it, what was very interesting is we are able to realign my. I was able to just take up one page, and like you've indexed based on emotions and situations, and in my life I picked up what's there in the index, and I said, okay, grief or something is coming up. And when I looked at the music in that page, somewhere realigned with the beliefs that I have. It was as if sometimes it's a mirror, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it like this. Or sometimes it's like, you know it just makes you introspect, and
Hmm.
align to what's actually real, and what is my intent vision, what is my perception. So that was very interesting. I didn't expect that. Yeah. So,
Thank you. So happy to hear
yeah,
that.
a very curious question
Hmm.
coming from that space, that many times people assume that musings in a journal are just random thoughts,
Hmm.
because people perhaps they're used to a story format or a fiction format. So random thoughts, kya hai type. So can you tell the audience how you came up with the idea? What's the objective and the purpose of creating?
Being a writer myself and whoever is interested in anything creative, like, creating it themselves or consuming it, whatever is creative, I believe that there is no particular, framework in which you can put any creative work. You can't be limited in that box when you are doing something creative. So,
Yeah.
and with poetry, I believe anyone who's interested in writing or reading poetry, they must have read Shakespeare and the other poets who have, written various forms of poetry. Like, take a lyrical poetry, take a ballad. Like, poetry is undefined, I believe. Anybody can interpret it in their way, and whoever is creating it also can take the liberty of, going anywhere with it. So when people have this notion that musings are only, confined to a journal, I don't believe that should be what they should have in their mind, because uh, anything abstract or anything that comes from the heart, it can be, it can become a poem, and as long as the person who's reading it feels connected to it, I don't think uh, it can be contained that way. So my basic motivation with this particular set of musings was that whoever is reading it should feel that it is their story, should feel that this is relatable. So yeah, that
And
was
that's
the
what
purpose.
I've written in the review. This non-fictional self-help genre-based book helps choose what we wish to read based on our current feelings or that which we can connect with deeply. It's a lovely way to start your day with a coffee or end your day with a hot chocolate. You know, it helps. If I don't feel like self-introspecting or कौन करेगा, just pick up one, you'll automatically self-introspect. So that's it.
So happy to hear that. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm really happy that people have connected with it, with my music in this particular book in that manner. That, it doesn't require much deep thinking, but despite that, when you read it, you are like, yeah, there is something deep in here.
And you compare to things.
Yes.
It kind of pulls you into that.
Yes.
Another question that I have is, so when you created this, what went into creating this music? I mean, it's not like randomly you just sat one day and thought of it, right? So what went into
Yeah, though, when reading it, people do feel that the musings are kind of random. There is a certain pattern and thought process to it which I followed. uh, Two things that were really important for me was, the motivation, the right kind of motivation to compile them in a manner that can be put together in a book. That was the first motivation, and the second was that it took a lot of consistent writing over a period of time to make it a proper compilation, bring them together in the form of 50 poems.
can you give
So
one example,
hmm.
real life example that gives us an insight of what really was happening within you during the process of writing? Let's say one particular music.
Okay. At the top of my head, the one of the poems that has been really loved by a lot of readers, and it is very close to my heart also, is that "Hello, Old Friend." It talks about the emotion of anxiety, and while writing that particular poem, I was recalling those incidents which made me feel really anxious, and I was like, I don't want to live this moment. Can I just escape from them? Recalling those moments and putting them down in the form of poem, putting them down on a piece of paper or digitally, that was like an experience which was cathartic, as well as, full of grief, because I was reliving those moments of my life which were really difficult. So that was what actually went into most of the poems. I had to not only zero down on the emotion that I wanted to convey through that poem, but also think of a way uh, where it can feel personal. Even if I'm not talking about myself in that particular poem, it should feel personal. It should tell a story. So that was the process I had in mind.
It's interesting how our both books kind of like a Venn diagram, you know, overlap and somewhere coincide. So you want to look at the music, understand, you want to deep dive and see how to handle it, take up my book and process it. So
Yes.
it's beautiful how it is. We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
come together, coincidentally. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really interesting. While reading your book, I was also like, she has drawn from personal experience and, combined it with a bit of fiction, which is what I have also done.
beautiful, beautiful, amazing.
Yeah. This brings me to my favorite. Before we do that, is there a particular poem that you would like me to read out? Any particular favorite one?
Yeah. So there's one. Just give me a second. I've written a few, but I will just take one right now.
Hmm.
So
We have a few people.
one chapter on lost identity.
Okay,
It's
lost
enough
identity.
strong, yeah, it's enough strong.
That's also
And it's
been.
something very significant for a lot of people. Identifying who they truly are versus thinking of what they should be because what people want.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I'm going to read out that one. It's titled Lost Identity and it focuses on the emotion of bitter. It goes, I gave up my dream job to take care of the family, to maintain the household, to look after everyone's needs his, the parents, and then the kids, to constantly be at the beck and call of everyone, to try and make my husband understand why I am unhappy and failing all the time. What did he do for me? I don't know for how long I can keep doing this. I gave up the girl I loved to fulfill my family's wish of getting married to the girl of their choice, to spend my life with a girl I hardly knew, to see my wife's dissatisfied face every day, to become a father when I didn't even want a child, to keep trying to make everyone happy and failing all the time. What am I getting in return? I don't know for how long I can keep doing this. On our fifth wedding anniversary, he left for work without even wishing me. The others didn't acknowledge the milestone too. I didn't want to remember the day much either. So I went on with the day just like normal. The feeling of being unloved, unappreciated, a bit escalated. I'll show them all tonight. Enough is enough, I decided. My bitter thoughts now turned into determination to stand up for myself, to get back my identity. It's been 5 years today. She believes I have forgotten such a big milestone. It was hard, but I ignored her hurtful looks as I left the house. The others too were behaving aloof. I wanted to remember this day forever for her and myself. So I left from work early, unlike normal. The feeling of wanting to show we all cared, a new one. I'll show her today. Enough is enough, I had decided. My bitter thoughts now turned into determination to help her to something of her own, to support her in getting back her identity. Thank you.
This is an example of what I was just telling. I'm just letting the audience know is it helps you give a mirror.
Yes.
So we are not able to see the other side of the coin. This helps you look at the other side. So we are so much in our own well that we are not able to see the other side of the coin, and that really helps.
Yogita is here and she's saying, thank God now the network is perfect. So happy to hear that. And thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks, Yogita.
Yes, this brings me to the favorite session, favorite part of this entire episode, which is the rapid fire round. Are you ready? Let
Yeah.
me just open the question I had for you. Uh, just a minute. Where are the questions? If you would like to
I can
ask the
start.
first question, yes.
Yeah, I can start. So first question, fire. Which one of the musings is your favorite and why?
Which genre of music?
Which are the musings in the
Oh,
book
which is
is
my
your
music
favorite?
out of the book. Oh my God, that's like asking a mother who's the favorite child. Oh my God. But I would have to say hello, old friend, because as I was saying, it was not only difficult, but it was also cathartic while writing the poem. So yes, hello, old friend would be my choice if I had to pick a favorite music.
It sounds very interesting. Yeah, you
Okay,
always
I'm
forget
just
that old
looking
friend.
for. Where are my questions?
Yeah,
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
I'm doing the firing first. You're not doing it.
Okay. Okay. You can ask your next question then.
Yeah. So, what was one of the most challenging aspects in the process? or while publishing it, either while writing it or while publishing? Which was the most challenging and what was it?
Uh, the most challenging, I believe, for me in this particular collection was zeroing down on the emotions that I wanted to focus. But I was very clear in my head that I wanted to focus more on what we conventionally might call negative feelings. So, after a point, I was like, what more negative feeling can I look for? What more negative emotion can I focus on in this collection? So that was, I think, and the other part, as I mentioned earlier, was the consistency. Because when I wrote the poems for the first time, I was a part of a community challenge where we were writing each day of the month. We had to write one particular piece each day of the month. So for 26 days of the month, I was only writing one poem per day. That was kind of also difficult. So the consistency and zeroing down on the emotion, these two were the most challenging.
Want me to ask the next one?
Yes, because I have still not found my questions for you.
Okay. Um,
So
what do
much
you
for being
expect the
prepared.
reader to get in the end of the book, by the end of the book?
Uh, so not just with this particular book, my aim with each piece of writing that I do has always been that a person should not only feel satisfied that they have read a good piece of work, but they should also feel like, yes, that this is something I can relate to. This is something that might have happened with me or somebody I know. Yes, so that's the motive, and I hope that has come out.
A perception or a thought you have noticed in people often having, and how it reflects on their actions and hence outcomes. Because all your music, 50 of them are all about perceptions and the way we look at things and the way it can be tweaked the other side. Like, what's that perception thought that you have noticed most in people and how it reflects on their actions?
Okay, so one thing I have observed across the globe, because I have lived in different parts of the country and in the world as well. So one thing I have really observed is that when you tell people you are in the creative field, the first thing that comes to their mind is, does it bring you enough money? Yeah, so that's you. I can see their eyes going from when I tell them a writer. Okay, that's really great, but what do you really do? So because they feel that being in the creative field, it's not very well paying. It's not a well paying job.
Yeah, I think the perception is also you're creative as in you're doing something as a hobby.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not doing the full energy kind of a thing, which
Yes.
not
So
many people.
there's always a follow up question. Okay, you're a writer, but what's your job? Yes,
Interesting.
I have
The
my
last
question
firing,
finally, but you can continue with yours now.
yeah, the last firing that I have for you is one advice you would give to new authors who would like to publish poems, music, and journals. What's the could be the challenge and what they should be focusing on?
The challenge probably they would have is hesitance from the publishers, because not many publishers are willing to go with poetry, and I have seen this. Having said that, don't be disheartened if you feel that you have a good collection of poems. There are always other options you can go ahead with. There's self-publishing, there's vanity publishing, but explore the market, choose the best option available for you and the one that suits your needs. And before closing the lid on that book and deciding, no, nobody is ready to publish, so I'm not going to publish it.
Yeah. So I'm done with my firing. You're still alive.
Yes. So my questions for you are ready. I have finally found them. So my first question to you is, because your book focuses so much on growth and accepting the self. There's one. Tell us about one ritual that you follow yourself, a self-care ritual which you follow every day without fail.
Yeah. So couple of things that I alternatively do as and when it suits. One is I have some affirmations written in front of my washroom mirror.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm good. I'm just good enough as I am. So and a couple of other such stuff that really helps me start my day with a focus on me because I'm a huge empath. Okay.
Hmm.
And what happens with empath is we are all over the place for everyone but ourselves. And so,
True.
and also as a coach, as a counselor, when we are dealing with others, we also need to, uh, re-energize ourselves.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so that's something that I do many times in the shower. There's a rainbow technique that we do. Just shower is a beautiful. It's a it's a natural water system, that energy system that helps us. And I do affirmation, visualizations, and stuff there that helps me start my day. Or it could be a chakra work that I do. Sometimes there's simply for no reason there's no energy, and you've got so much work to do. You know, so so I put on a music, soft music that just brings my focus and do the seven chakras and activate them, and then you automatically feel the energy. Some of these things, there's nothing like every day what I do. I just do
Hmm.
pick stuff that works for that. Sometimes it's just listen to myself and go to sleep. You know, be good to yourself sometimes. So
Oh,
those are things that we do.
this is nice. Thank you for sharing those the affirmations and talking to yourself before sleeping. That's a really nice way of focusing on the self. Thank you for sharing. My next question to you is one self-sabotaging habit that you have noticed most people doing, engaging in.
Yeah, something that I used to do in a different way, but I am conscious and hence I minimize that. But most people wouldn't want to, I wouldn't call it confront, but face an uncomfortable reality,
Hmm.
a reality that they are not comfortable with. So it could be maybe something in the job not going well, and you blame the others for it. You know,
Hmm.
and the others can see. So unfortunately, people can see, but we are in the blind spot, right?
Yes.
And the other thing is they're all linked. So the other thing is not asking for the blind spot from others, not
Hmm.
being courageous to say that Manali, after our session, let me know what could have worked very better
Hmm.
in my session today. You know, it scares some people. So, but
Yes.
not realizing that for next session is going to be a great boon for me, right? So this
Right.
storm, if I can handle with the right tools and awareness,
Hmm.
I do not run away from that storm. So that's
Hmm.
the main thing that I've seen a lot of.
Wow, that's again a wonderful tip. Yeah, people are not ready to accept how they can improve, or probably that they have gone wrong somewhere.
Yeah. It's scary, it's hurting. There's a self-critic which makes them feel bad about it, and hence they like to ignore it. But
Hmm.
the self-critic is also telling them something that we are not. So we need to listen and just honor that self-critic and see what is happening. It's a beautiful journey. If you like it, you can get addicted.
We are getting some very good responses. We have Supriya here who's saying wonderful conversation, and Shilpa has also said that that is a wonderful tip.
Yeah, thanks,
So,
Shilpa. Thank you.
my next question to you is when it comes to mental health, what's your first advice to your clients? Like, irrespective of whatever, personalized, of course, every person has a different issue in their life. So, that one advice that you give to each client.
So, almost not almost all clients, irrespective of whether it's anxiety attacks, whether it is depression, whether it is uh, job clarity, lack of clarity in terms of the career. I've got all sorts of clients, and or if within their role they want to perform better and they're not able to. Whatever it is, uh, what ends up the first thing that I end up doing with the clients is it's called something called experiencing the moment. Right?
Hmm.
So it's about deep diving the body and listening to, and every time it has not failed. So what I tell them is the mind is great tool to organize and structure our lives, but let it not control. It's actually the most rigid one. The body is the flexible one. And whatever the mind finds difficult to handle, it gives it to the body. So whether it is sugar, diabetes, whether it is thyroid, and
Okay.
my book tells
Wow.
you as well the
Hmm.
reasons behind it and all that. So the body takes it,
Hmm.
and but the body has been giving signals long back. And we didn't pay attention because our mind
Uh,
was trying to be rational, right? Unfortunately, our system, uh, uh, aping other countries, etc., also focusing more on rational rather than your inner turmoil
hmm.
that's happening. Listen to it. It's not wrong. And the first things of every client that I end up doing is that moment of experiencing what's really happening. And the moment they do, clarity of they get a, so initially they come with a problem saying, I have career related issues.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm not sure of what kind of, I'm confused. And once they deep dive, it becomes a transformation agenda, as in a deep rooted agenda where the real problem is something else.
Hmm.
And because
Right.
of which there's lack of clarity.
Hmm.
The lack of clarity is above the iceberg. What's happening below the iceberg
Uh,
is what needs to come up.
wow. Wow. That is so. Yeah, I'm just blown away. Yes, he's so true that we don't realize all these things unless, somebody points one thing and then it becomes like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. My next question is for you is because we are talking about mental health and you have also written a book on that particular topic as well. So tell us a book or a movie that you would recommend other than yours in this particular genre.
Yeah. A book that comes out to me just like that, because I've used a lot of things, that is uh, Heal Your Life by Louis Hay.
Lead your
It's
life.
Heal, Heal, Heal
Heal
Your
your
Life
life. Okay.
by Louis Hay.
Louis
So,
Hay. Okay.
yeah, it's full of what I just mentioned in terms of how, we need to tune ourselves
Hmm.
to our body,
Hmm.
and the body speaks. So
Okay.
she just expired recently, a couple of years back, and at the age of 90 plus, and she had cancer, and how she dealt with it through understanding her body, and affirmations is what she created. And she's the one who started mentioning about how diseases, A to Z diseases, physical diseases, ailments, are linked to psychological reasons.
Oh, yeah,
So,
wonderful.
for example, thyroid could be linked to lack of expression, feeling stifled within hypothyroidism, right? And hence we kind of hold on, and
Hold on.
the
Okay.
pituitary becomes underperforming.
Oh,
So that's one example. So once you understand and then realign, work on itself, there's a whole lot of possibilities.
okay, and which also brings to mind one particular point in your book itself, where they lose their father because of this particular health issue, and then when it happens again to Anand, you have said that particular thing, which you just mentioned that it's not just about your body, it's also about your mind. When your mind is not healthy, it affects your body and it leads to that particular physical problem, which happens to Anand in the book.
Yeah. So it's about
My,
the lymphoma is also linked. The lymphoma, cancer lymphoma, is also linked with issues with lymphoma is lack of love of life for self.
hmm,
So withholding life for oneself, all the
hmm,
life lymphoma is nodes, life
hmm.
nodes, and you withhold levels, love for self, lack of
Yeah,
love of life.
yes,
So stop doing.
yeah, wonderful. Which brings me to my last question. One advice that you would give to non-fiction authors and why?
Oh, non-fiction authors. Okay, so it all depends on what kind of non-fiction it is. If
Hmm.
it is a non-fiction which is somebody else's journey,
Hmm.
I think it'll be easy on author. But then, yeah, but then if it's somebody else's journey, really understanding the person's inner work, inner intent,
Hmm.
really as if you are hearing without any filters. So you need to
Yeah.
have a lot of questions ready
Hmm.
and portray it from his or her eyes. That's going to be a little tougher, I think, from a writing perspective.
Hmm.
If you're doing your own journey, your non-fiction from your own understanding and stuff, uh, it, it's not about tough or easy. It's just that uh, you need to get into the discomfort zone yourself, right? So there are a lot of uncomfortable episodes which will come in a non-fiction, and
Hmm.
how I work when I'm writing, it all comes up. and that's why people don't read, or people don't people discard it because it's a
Hmm.
little scary to read. So
Hmm.
that's something that I want. And second is, limit it to as much as possible, because I try to limit it to 200 pages, not more than that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because sometimes, a story, I mean, we do have a Cain and Abel book, which is like 700 pages or something, 1,000 pages, I don't remember. Uh, but then that's rare occasions. But otherwise, it's
Hmm.
always good to limit the number.
Yes, I think that is one negative point that I mentioned in my review also.
Yeah,
The length of the book, because not only is your book in a genre that I don't read, I also become a reader who doesn't read more than 150 pages while a book these days. So
yeah.
that becomes a
So
kind of a
actually, I've got another feedback saying you could have put more processes and more practical examples.
oh
Then
wow.
I took it. I took their feedback, but from that person's point of view, it's right. But at
Hmm.
the same time, remember 200 was the limit, and it would go into 500 pages.
Hmm.
It's not, doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
for me, the 200 pages happened because I was very clear there's some processes that Anita has explored and hence crossed the storm.
Yeah.
Um, People need to really understand. If I put it in one page or two pages, people won't get it. So
Yes.
that's why to make it lucid and simple for the reader, I had to expand. So that was
Hmm.
the only reason. Otherwise, the aim was 150 pages. But yeah,
Okay. I think Supriya was trying to join the conversation. If you are game for it, let us add her and probably have her for a few minutes with us. She was
sure, sure.
sending a
Wonderful to have.
request to us. Let me just invite her. Uh, has she accepted? Let's wait. Yes,
Yeah.
she's here. Hello. I think you need to turn the camera, Supriya. Are you there with us, Supriya? Can you hear us? I think she's not
No, I
here.
thought,
I
yeah,
don't think she's here. I'm just going to remove her. So okay, it's just us again. Okay. Any parting remarks from you?
well, one remark was staying in my head. I don't know. I'm surprised. I didn't even realize it. When we were talking, I realized uh, you talked about negative feelings and emotions that you used as your poems or musings. And my subtitle is creating positive life experiences to negative, a positive
Right.
attitude to like negative life
Right.
experiences. Uh, so yeah, so one passing thought that I have is, and it's there in the first chapter that I set the context for everyone
Hmm.
before they start the reading the book, is that uh, don't let uncomfortable, seemingly negative thoughts, uh, kind of bog you down, and अरे ये job बहुत मुश्किल है, what do I do, it's tough, I can't handle it, you
Hmm.
know it shift that question, reframe
Hmm.
that question, what's in this job that's difficult,
Hmm.
what can I do to make it easy,
Hmm.
so don't so, and the way that will happen is when you stay with that, when you stay
Yeah.
with that, and what is the feeling that's emerging, and what's the feeling telling you, what's that emotion, what are you scared of, when you process it, actually get to that question that I told you.
Hmm.
It will not come immediately because you're in the West, right?
True.
So it's only through that. There is no other way, and I can sign it to you, right? So
Thank you
please
too.
stay with it and process it, and you'll get rainbows and gifts from that.
Thank you so much for those
What about
wise
you,
parting
Manali?
words.
You need also give one thought before we close
We
this
have
episode.
Nileshri here. She's saying, sorry, I'm late today. It's okay, Nileshri. And for everyone else who was with us or, was able to join later and did not see the full conversation, this conversation you can always access it on my Instagram handle and on my YouTube channel later also. And thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. I mean, I think I was most excited with about learning through your pearls of wisdom, and I have already learned it from the book, but talking to you face to face has, brought a different perspective to it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
And
collaborating with me, and let's move forward together. Yeah.
yes, definitely. And I am looking forward to doing this again whenever we can. So thank you for joining, everyone. And bye. Good night.
Bye.